mean, I love omelettes, and omelettes are really easy and they're quick to prepare, and in their deliciousness scales, omelettes are literally right up there with the best foods. Omelettes are also highly nutritious, and omelettes can be sweet and they can be savory, and in this video I will show you both and much more, like a simple everyday omelette, a perfect omelette, a forgotten French style omelette, and a super fluffy omelette just right at the end. Plus there will be omelette history and every omelette technique and tip and trick that you need to know when you cook a perfect omelette. Famous French chef Auguste Escoffier described omelettes as eggs scrambled in a certain way and then enclosed in an envelope of cooked eggs. Nothing else. I mean, it sounds so simple and complicated at the same time, don't you think so? And this is exactly what builds the mystery about this dish. Now, omelettes require a bit of panache. They need speed. There is no fluffing around when making an omelette, otherwise you are not going to have a fluffy omelette, you know what I mean? I mean, you need speed. You need to scramble the egg really fast before you hold it together with the skin of fully coagulated eggs that have gone past moist and just became dry, but just before the egg becomes tough. Are you still with me on this? Because it's a lot to take in, but once you got it, it makes so much sense and it's so easy. Now, a few keys to achieve your perfect omelette. The first one would be that you need to cook off your vegetables. You cannot put any raw vegetables in the omelette, because if your vegetables are raw, they're gonna release water during the cooking and then the eggs can't attach themselves to the vegetables. So any type of vegetable you're gonna use, I'm gonna use some leek today, and I'm gonna make an omelette with capsicum and zucchini. I need to cook them off beforehand, and I need to cook them off in a separate pan, and I cook the omelette, because the next thing I'm gonna show is how to season a pan. And that's super important. I mean, a lot of people use non-stick pans, but they're unfortunately very toxic. So all you do, you take a stainless steel pan or you take a cast iron pan, you heat it up to a medium hot heat, you add some oil, it doesn't matter what oil, and then you let the oil sort of go around in there for a minute or two. Don't burn it, and then once you get a really good coating, and make sure you coat the sides too, you then just wipe out all the oil, and that pan will be non-stick until you put some water in it. So that's why we have to cook the vegetables off separate in a separate pan. Then to make your first omelette, which is literally the easiest omelette that you can make, I just put some eggs in a bowl. I add some pepper to it. Salt I will only add just before I put the eggs into the pan, because salt will make the eggs really runny. So never salt your omelette, just salt your omelette just before you literally put it in the pan. So for this omelette version, I will put the vegetables into the egg mixture. It's a bit like the Italian frittata, or really easy. So you could do that with any vegetable. Just make sure that the vegetables are cut quite small, because you need to still roll the omelette, and if the vegetables are too big, that's not going to work. So now I take my seasoned pan, add a little bit of butter, I start working on a fairly hot heat. I always start on a really high heat, and then I lower the heat straight away, and in goes the mixture. And I need to work really fast. You need to break the curd and move it around, because if you leave it too long, the eggs can become chewy. You know, overcooked eggs or overcooked proteins can become quite chewy. So you cook it for approximately 2/3, and then you flatten it out. And now we're going to do exactly what I said before. We're going to form the envelope. We're going to form the skin of the omelettes. It's up to you how much color. For a rustic omelette like that, I like to have a bit more color. A typical sort of fancy French style omelette, you have less color. And then just tip the pan over on a really steep angle. I'll show you that again in a second. And then roll the omelette over and then get a plate and then literally grab the handle from underneath, okay? So you see that now, and then you flip the omelette over. Show that once again. So handle, you grab it from underneath and flip the pan over the plate. And here's your first omelette, which is a vegetable omelette. Has a nice brown color. I haven't glazed it, but that is just what I love to have for every day. Omelettes are apparently around since medieval times. Now, omelettes in Persia used to be called cuckoo. The Romans, they used to like to eat them sweet, and they called them lamella. The French called it amoella. And it was officially first mentioned in an English dictionary as omelette. It was Cotgrave's dictionary in 1611, and the origin of the name apparently have reached into the Dutch language, Portuguese, German, Russian, and it all comes from omelette, which means small soul, referring to the preciousness of the egg. I mean, and then of course you have the French, the Italian frittata, the Spanish tortilla. I mean, you throw all that history together and you surely must be confused. But what is certain is that omelettes of all kinds, when properly made, score remarkably high marks, being delicious. It's one of the most delicious ones. So I'll show you a classic French omelette, how it's cooked today. Before I show you the next version, which was a sort of more an older version of cooking omelette. And then you just put it in a bowl again, so same as before, beat it up, make sure that you break the eggs up that far that or there are no more egg white strands, so that the curd is really nicely broken. Then season it with pepper, but don't season it with salt unless you put it straight away into the pan. You add the salt too early, the eggs become really watery, and then the omelette will not hold that nicely together later on when you cook it. So here's my non-stick pan again. In goes some butter. Oh god, I love butter. And then just sort of grease your pan, bring it up to a high heat, start off in a high heat as before, and then go on a really low heat. Okay, if you start in a low heat, the eggs most likely gonna stick, and then just keep breaking the curd, keep breaking the curd, cook it for approximately sort of 60%, and that's when you stop. So you really see this looks like scrambled eggs now. And just keep stirring that, and check out my video on scrambled eggs to learn much more about them too, and do them in a much different way. So now I'm just gonna spread it out. I'm gonna form the skin, but what I'm gonna do this time, I'm gonna make it a bit fancier. I'm gonna move most of the scrambled eggs to the lower end of the pan, as you can see here, and then I just have that skin there, and that should be all nice and warm, and that's where I'm gonna put my filling now. So my filling today, put some brie in it. I love to add some truffles to it, and then the leek I cooked off before. So this is going to be brie, leek, and chive. Truffles will be really good too. And then you just sort of put that in the lower center. So my heat is now off. I can increase it again, which I will do, and I check now the curd. If the curd comes off the pan really nicely, then that's fine. So I'm gonna cook this omelette without too much color, because that will be a blonde omelette. So you can see it's fairly white. So just move it forward, and obviously helps me hugely that I kept the scrambled eggs all in the lower third. The next thing is I put a bit of butter there. I let the butter ooze under the omelette. I increase the heat again now, or switch the heat back on, and I let the butter glaze the omelette. So that, and here we go, it is. The butter has glazed the omelette. It doesn't have too much color, so that's my favorite. Of course, if you want to have a bit more color, just let it sit longer on the heat, and it will just absolutely turn out perfectly that way. So here we go. That's your traditional sort of French style omelette. Before I show you the next one, which is a really sort of forgotten style of omelette, and that's it. And I add some brie on top of it and some truffles, like you see here. For this omelette, you really need an omelette pan, which I, by the way, don't have, so please don't judge me on that. It's gonna be a real challenge. The pan also needs to be seasoned like hell, because the omelette needs to slip and jump when you sort of bang the pan, because you roll it up by shaking it, okay? So you need to work on a really steep angle too. By the way, check out my online courses where you can learn tons more about eggs. You all know that sort of movie that Julia Childs, Julie and Julia, I watched it a few times, great movie, I love it, where you can see them making omelettes, and that's the omelette I'm going to show you today. So all I'm going to do is hot pan, omelette goes in, then you just really gently keep moving the curd. I don't want to break it up, because that's all going to help me with the shaking. So it's actually making a pancake now, you know, sort of making a pancake without color, just purely made from egg. I cook that by approximately 40 to 50%. So it's very important, because this omelette should be runny in the center. So now I can put my fillings there if I want to, and then I start shaking it and basically bang the handle. So I'm gonna just really hit the handle really hard, and I'll keep shaking it. And if your pan is the right pan, which mine is not, and if your pan is super non-stick, which mine is, then the omelette just should sort of can turn over, as you can see it here. So it just rolls up by itself. It's a lot of work. It requires a bit of technique. You can of course use the technique you see me here doing, sort of, you know, toss the pan a bit forward as well, and that helps as well. And eventually the omelette will just roll itself up. Then you can glaze it again. But what the amazing thing about this omelette is that you will have in the center literally some runny egg. So you can see a lot of the egg is still totally runny in the center. It just has firmed up a little bit. So that's your classic French style omelette, which you don't see much anymore. But if you want to impress, that's the one. Now, Annette Boulard, she invented this one because the story goes that she thought that the traditional omelette is too rough, it's not elegant enough. So she came up with this one. That's basically the old-fashioned style souffle omelette, which turned into the souffle. So check out my video on souffles too. So what I'm gonna do now, I'm gonna separate some eggs, and I like to make that omelette sweet. I love to make that for our kids when they were little, you know, to get some eggs into them while at the same time they think they eat something sweet. Yeah, still make that sometimes today. So just separate the eggs. Generally for an omelette you use 3 eggs. You know, it depends on your pan. My pan's a bit bigger, so I often use 4 eggs. So then you just whisk the egg white. So just make sure you whisk it really well. So when you whisk an egg white, you need to have a clean bowl, you need to have a clean whisk. How firm do you beat that meringue? Sort of semi-stiff. It doesn't have to be fully stiff. So, I mean, I'm too lazy to get my blender out. I just do it by hand. Then add some cacao powder and some cinnamon. Cacao powder and cinnamon, that's my sweet flavors, and a bit of honey. So it's really nice too. And then I just put the egg yolks back in, and then I gently stir it together. And once you put fat into an egg white meringue, the egg white meringue will collapse. So you really shouldn't stir it too much anymore. Otherwise it just becomes runnier and runnier. Plus the honey does the same thing as the salt in the omelette. So then pan in there, heated butter, same as before. I mean, there's another famous omelette that is made from half beaten eggs, like egg white meringue, like you saw me here, and half raw eggs, but I'm not going to share it today, because there we go. And then you just do exactly the same as the omelette before. So this is a bit more tricky in terms of, it's actually the same, easy to make as the others, but just to get your head around the sheer volume of eggs in there. So cook it by approximately 50%, then I let the skin form, just like you see me doing here. Then you can put fillings in it. You know, I put some bananas in it, I put some chocolate in it, sometimes I put some Nutella and some hazelnuts in it. If I don't put the cacao powder and the cinnamon in it, I could put vanilla essence, I could put raspberries, strawberries. Be creative what you can put in there. So I just put that all in while the skin forms underneath on a medium to low heat, and then I'm just gonna roll the omelette forward. You see, it's really easy. Once you form that skin, it's actually really easy to roll an omelette. The only thing you have to be careful is when you flip it over, you're really gonna have to grab the handle from underneath,
get the plate really close to it, like you see me doing here. Flip it over, and here is your chocolate, banana, and cinnamon omelette. And it just looks amazing inside. So if you want to have a really quick, healthy, sweet snack, I always say that's the one to go.
Yum, so good. I'm gonna make this one tonight again, because tonight's movie night. Now, I saw that movie the other day. It was that good. I wanna watch it again. I mean, it was brilliant. It was literally the best movie I ever saw. What's its name? Director's Cut. You should check it out. It's absolutely amazing. Anyway, thank you so much for watching. Check out my online courses. Check out my videos on scrambled eggs and poached eggs. I put the links in the link below. And you have a great day. Thank you so much.